Welcome to Essential Shorts, where we take a look into the world of student ministry one topic at a time. And today's topic is evangelism and why it's essential to healthy student ministry. Now, while it's hard for me to imagine any student ministry that wouldn't make evangelism its highest priority with strategic planning, the truth is, not every youth ministry is deliberately evangelistic. My concern is for those student ministries who want to become evangelistic and simply need a reminder or a few reasons to make it a top priority. So let's take a look at 5 quick reasons to make evangelism a top priority in your student ministry. First is simply to follow the example of Christ. John 20:21 tells us that as the Father sent me, I'm sending you. So we follow Christ, we follow in the example of evangelism. What was the example Christ gave us? He was personal. Luke 19, verse 10, "For the Son of Man came to seek and to save that which was lost." Jesus dealt with individuals. He made it personal. Second, Jesus was direct. In Mark chapter 8, verses 34 through 38, he was direct when he called the people to go. He sent them, and he was direct about it. And third, Jesus' approach was perpetual. It was reoccurring. It was continual. Jesus spoke with a Samaritan woman at noon, Nicodemus at night, Bartimaeus on the road, Zacchaeus in the tree, and Peter at the seashore, and the thief on the cross. He was definitely perpetual. His approach was also penetrating. He set the example. He modeled it to his disciples. He led the way. Jesus evangelized every race, social class, soldiers, prostitutes, children, women, etc. Jesus' approach was also powerful. He was empowered by the Father. In Luke chapter 1, verse 35, his strength was supernatural, and yours can be too. Also, Jesus was prayerful. Jesus had a continuing attitude of prayer in Luke chapter 3, verse 21, and John chapter 11, 41. So the first reason to make your student ministry evangelistic is to simply follow the example of Jesus Christ. And the second reason is to obey the Lord. The plain truth is that you can't be obedient in ministry unless you make your ministry evangelistic. Mark chapter 1:17, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." In Matthew 28:18, we're told to go to all the nations. The word nations comes from the Greek word ethne, ethnic in English. In other words, to every people group, every ethnic group in the world. For example, before 1935, Southern Baptists reported baptizing 1 person for every 20 members of a church. Then between 1935 and 1959, the ratio became less than 25 to 1. And in 2012, it took 50 church members to baptize 1 person. We must make it a greater priority to keep pace with population growth and make our ministries evangelistic. And number 3, to simply meet the world's need. The only hope the world has is the proclamation of the gospel. It's been said that all we have to do for the world to go to hell is nothing. We don't want to have our youth ministries caught doing nothing. And the fourth reason to make your student ministry evangelistic is simply to imitate the local church. Let's look at the church at Jerusalem that was modeled for us by the apostles teaching, preaching, and proclaiming the gospel of Christ. The church shared the good news through prayer, power, and proclamation. The final compelling reason to make your student ministry evangelistic is because of inner compulsion. God created you with an inner desire to fulfill His great commandments. Acts chapter 4, verse 20, compelled by the Holy Spirit, the apostles told the religious leaders, "For we cannot but speak the things which we have heard and seen." They couldn't keep it to themselves. Listen to 2 Corinthians. "We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making His appeal through us. We implore you, on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. God made Him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in Him we might become the righteous of God. As God's fellow workers, we urge you not to receive God's grace in vain, for He says, 'In the time of my favor I heard you, and in the day of salvation I helped you.' I tell you, now is the time of God's favor. Today is the day of salvation." So let's be intentional. Let's be deliberate. Let's evaluate all of our youth ministry calendar and make sure that we have sufficiently supplied our students with training and inspiration to fulfill the Great Commission through evangelism. Well, that's it for today's segment of Essential Shorts. Thanks for watching, and if I can serve your ministry in any way, please don't hesitate to contact me. Or if you have a problem or a question concerning student ministry in your church, let me know. I'll be glad to help. And hey, drop me an email. Tell me about your success story so that I can share it with others. And remember, what you do is critically important in kingdom work.